Coming up next on Adventurer, well-known adventure writer filmmaker Jon Bowermaster. More when we return. Welcome to Adventurer, the show where people truly push their lives to the limits. No talking heads here, just the real deals. I'm your host, Jim Clash. Today's guest, Jon Bowermaster, has written 8 books, including 3 about the famous polar explorer Will Steger. Most recently, Jon is filming Ocean's 8, a National Geographic project about kayaking the world's oceans. In January, he is off to kayak in the Antarctic. Jon, thanks so much for coming
thanks,
on.
Jim.
You know, it's been a long time since I've seen you. 20 years ago, you were a journalist writing a story for the New York Times Magazine about my rock band, the VPs. How far we've come in 20 years. You're now an adventurer, and I'm working at Forbes. Who would have thought?
I was going to say, have you really come that far? I don't know. Kind of the same.
Listen, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about your Ocean's 8 project, because it's pretty exciting.
No, our idea was to kayak around the world, literally, one continent at a time, but I didn't want to skip over that huge, beautiful Oceania, which is filled with islands. So thus we made it 8 different trips spread out over 10 years. And
you've done how many now?
Well, we've done 7 of the 8 expeditions. We've been to the Aleutian Islands, the coast of Vietnam, French Polynesia, the Altiplano in South America, Gabon in West Africa, Croatia and Tasmania. Wow. And just one left to go. Which
we'll talk about at the end of this. That's amazing. Of the ones you've done so far, which one's been the most exotic?
Most exotic? Well, the great thing about them is they're all incredibly different. In the Aleutian Islands, we were alone for 5 weeks, just four guys. Got dropped off and picked up 5 weeks later, totally alone in these remote volcanic snow-tipped islands. We did a big trip through the 1,200 islands off of Croatia, right, where we saw civilization every day.
Amazing.
French Polynesia has to have been pretty exotic in that we were kayaking from not from island to island, but from coral reef atoll to coral reef atoll.
So incredibly different environments.
Incredibly different environments, and you know, we're also driven by the people that we meet, the cultures of these different places. And we've been doing this now for 10 years. We've literally been around the world, and what we've discovered, for ourselves at least, is how, despite the fact that someone might live on the coast of Vietnam, or they might live on these islands of Croatia, or off the coast of Chile, they have so much in common, especially if their lives depend on the sea.
And most of them do. Now, I know you're a filmmaker, you're an author. You've done 8 books?
8 books, and we just finished an 8-part series of films drawn from this Ocean's 8 project.
Will Steger, tell me about Will Steger. You did 3 books on Will,
I've done
right?
3 books with Will. One, we wrote a book called Saving the Earth, which was published on the 20th anniversary of Earth Day. And then 1 year later, we wrote a book called Crossing Antarctica, about his kind of epic 3,741-mile, 221-day crossing by dog sled of the entire continent of Antarctica.
Was he the first to do that?
Yeah, no one had attempted a crossing like that. And that's one reason they went so far, was to be able to knock down any critic who said, well, it's the modern day,
right,
you
right.
have a GPS, you have Gore-Tex, and they said, well, yes, but we've gone 4 times further than anyone ever in history.
And they crossed the South Pole.
And across the South Pole into what is known as the area of inaccessibility, where you're truly, truly out there.
Yeah.
And then we did a very fun book about a trip he did across the north from Russia to the North Pole and down to Canada.
Well, let's go back now south, because I think this is your 8th expedition. You're going to go down to Antarctica with kayaks in January, is that correct?
Exactly. We've got, starting basically from Christmas of this year through all of January, we're going to be kayaking on the east side of the Antarctic Peninsula. If you think of Antarctica as a fist with a big thumb sticking out, the thumb being the peninsula.
Palmer Peninsula.
Exactly.
Right.
We'll be going down the east side, the Weddell Sea side, and why most people have some familiarity with that area, it's where that big Larsen ice shelf is that keeps calving off in icebergs the size of Rhode Island.
Yeah,
so it's makes the news a lot. And that's one of the things that attracts us. We want to go down there and you know, we've all seen satellite images, we've seen some aerials, but no one's really seen it from sea level. So we're going to go try and get that perspective.
Man, that is great stuff. I wish I were coming along.
Come. Yeah, although
right.
you want to go to space, not to
Well,
Antarctica.
space. I'm kind of spacey. It's great to see you again. You look more like a sailor than a rock and roll writer, although I guess the two can look the same. Jon, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay.